You are listening to I Am Refocused Radio with your host, Shamaya Reed. This show is designed to inspire you to live your purpose and regain your focus. And now, here's your host, Shamaya Reed.
Hey, welcome to I Am Refocused Radio. We are here once again. Today, we have another show lined up for y'all. We have the one and only Mary Henderson. She's doing big things. She's going to be telling us everything about her business, her brand. She has a website that you need to go to. It's maryhendersoncoaching.com. And today's topic, man, we're going to keep it simple. We're going to be talking about your purpose is your wisdom. But first and foremost, I want to welcome Mary to the show and say, how are you doing today?
Hey, Shamaya, how you doing? Thanks for having me on the show.
Thank you for being here. I'm doing great. So before we talk about your business and your brand, doing amazing things for a lot of clients, kind of give us a little backstory of your business and what inspired you to launch it.
Thank you. So my business today is I work with industry experts. These are people that have accumulated a lot of wisdom in their profession. And I help them systemise, digitalise and commercialise their knowledge, wisdom and skills into a brand and also a business. And that business I started in 2015. Prior to that, I had my own software company for 7 years. And prior to that, I was in the IT sector in a sales capacity. I've worked in many IT companies, but the last one in a fairly senior capacity was for a tech company in California. But Shamaya, my vocation today is really about connecting those dots of my past and understanding, and understanding the accumulation of the wisdom from all of that knowledge, that learned knowledge from my corporate life, my own businesses, even my personal life. And it's really about a collection of that learned knowledge that really is now my wisdom. This is what I can do with ease and grace. So what I did is I merged all of my knowledge, all of my wisdom, all of my skill set, and it was in there where my purpose lived. My purpose, I was always looking outside of myself. But once I recognized that I already have the intellectual currency, I already have the internal inventory to be able to solve a complex problem and sell my wisdom as a solution to a problem in the world. And this is what I do today. And it's funny that I get to call the loves of my life my vocation.
When you made that jump to, okay, I'm going to make this brand work, I'm going to make it just bloom like a flower and be successful, what was, looking back, what was some of the hurdles that you had to overcome to kind of keep you on your toes to, okay, I got to stick with this?
I think for me, right up front, I knew that I wanted to build a business that was based on a very solid foundation. I didn't want to just go out there, call myself a coach and do it, make it up as I go along. That's not really my style. Coming from a software background, I'm a very systemized type of a person. So, I am that sort of naturally and when I look at my true genius zone, I'm that person that can just design algorithms and turn that into some type of system or software. That's how my brain thinks. I organize information very, very well. So when I started my business, I didn't want to just be another coach. I wanted to be a coach that could prove that I had an outcome and results-driven system whereby somebody could start here and end here with a real transformation. And that was my absolute driver. If I couldn't deliver a transformation, I couldn't really deliver an outcome that in my view, it was not worth for someone to pay for my services if I couldn't take them to that destination. So it took me 3 years to actually design my frameworks and my actual system before I actually physically launched. I launched in 2015, but prior to that, there was 3 years of it in the making. No income was generated. There were no clients. It was really me just building out this idea and proving the motions, or the steps to get to that transformation. And I'm glad that I did it like that, Shamai, because today that same system more or less exists. It's obviously evolved exponentially, but by building a system, what it allows me to do is it allows me to get data in the form of feedback. And when you have feedback, we all know we can do something with that. So I'm always able to make my frameworks better, make the steps a lot more fluid or faster, or, upgrade them based on what's going on, in our society right in this moment. So I think that's very important, having a mindset of building a business with a very solid foundation, because when you do build a system, then you do rely on that feedback loop, and you're always making your system better and better and better. And one more thing I want to add to that is that when you have a mindset of building a business with a systems approach, what most people are afraid of is people stealing their content, or their intellectual property. And I don't ever worry about that, because if somebody stole my framework today, tomorrow I've already versioned that and I've upgraded that, because I have access to the feedback loop, not the person who stole my original framework or content or whatever it is that they want to reuse or repurpose. So when you have a feedback loop, you're always versioning, making it better. Whoever's taken what they've taken, they're running on a redundant model or a redundant framework. Meanwhile, I'm working on the new updated framework or content or material that is valid to my clients today.
Listen, I'm Refocus Radio, talking to our guest today, Mary Henderson. And you also, you do a lot of things, not just with your website, but you do publishing as well. You have a industry expert magazine. You're the founder of that publishing platform. Kind of tell the audience a little bit about that magazine and some of the things that it covers.
Yeah, well, that magazine is another interesting, as an extension really of who I am. It started off as a creative post on LinkedIn 4 years ago, and I just had this idea, wouldn't it be great just to do a magazine cover as a visual to support my post? And it just went crazy. People loved it. And then I did another one. I added another page, and then another 3 pages, and then it became 10 pages. And then 4 years later, it's a full-blown magazine. It's a digital magazine. It has over 100 pages. We have content contributors. And what I recognize, Shamaya, with the people that I work with, they carry a lot of knowledge and wisdom. And a lot of them don't do anything with it, or they don't know what to do with it, more importantly. And so I created a magazine, which is called Industry Expert Magazine, specifically and exclusively targeting those people so that they can get access to content that A, is of value to them, and B, also be inspired by other industry experts and how they show up and how they share knowledge. And, and that if you do have some type of expertise, the question is, what are you doing with it? If you have an accumulated 10, 20, 30,000 hours of wisdom, what are you doing with it? And that's really my core passion, is to motivate those type of people and understand that the only way that we can solve issues in the world is through wisdom. There is no other way. So there is a real true currency when it comes to wisdom.
And with your brand that you are giving to people, your clients, you are helping them build that brand and make it more personal. And you're giving them tools for their business to go to the next level. And with today's topic, that goes hand in hand with their purpose. And like you said, purpose is your wisdom. It's like the key to the door. So when you are giving these people the tools to build their personal branding and their digital space, what are some of the, I know it's different every person, but what's some of the general fundamentals of an individual building a better personal brand?
I think that the first thing that most people struggle with is organizing their life experience into a solution. Like, how do I actually package all of the 30 years of my professional life and, my personal life and the things that I really can do with ease and grace? How do I actually merge that together and solve one complex problem, and create my messaging around that? And that's a really big pain point for most people. And of course it is, because, most people have this idea that you just start a business and everything will be okay. And my idea is, no, you can't do that. You have to really understand, how to convert all of those moving parts in the form of life experience, predominantly your professional experience, and we have to merge it all. We have to pack it together so that we can actually understand what is the one complex problem that you can solve. Who is it that you serve? What is it that you actually promise? And then once we can identify that, then we can start building the foundation, which really does start with the branding. And because the branding, to me, Shemaya, is not about how can I make you famous. To me, personal branding is, who are you in your natural state of being? And let's take that version of you, which is the truest, closest version to the truest version of you. And that's how we need to market you, so that people can connect with that version of you, not the false facade version of you, of who you are in your corporate life. That's a facade. This is the truest version of you. And therefore we need to unpack attributes of that person and put together the brand story, the brand essence, the brand truth of that person, build that foundation so that we're very clear then, okay, this is what I do. This is who I serve. This is what I promise. This is my brand story. This is what makes me believable. This is what makes me trustable. And then my messaging is wrapped all around that so that I have congruency and I have consistency. And that means I can create an entire campaign to ensure that the people that touch my brand not only get to know me, but they also get to love me, and eventually they get to buy from me. And this is a really, really big, important point of personal branding. It's not just about your colors and your font and wanting to be Instagram famous. That they're actually gone. Those days are gone. We're talking about here real business owners who genuinely are interested in looking at their wisdom as a currency and doing something with it. And if that's you, then we need to start with building that solid foundation.
And someone listening right now, they're like, okay, I need to get started on this. So when they are someone who is new to this, they never had business before, they never been an entrepreneur before, but this is something that they are confident in doing. And maybe they just need to have some systems and plans in place before they make that jump. How does that person take their life experiences and knowledge and use that as their advantage in planning their launch for their brand?
This is where I get a lot of people coming to me, Shemaya, because they've gone down the pathway of trying to unpack as much as they can. And when you have information overload, you can't actually see through the eye of the needle. It's because you're just overwhelmed by just lots of information. For me, I think just simplify it and take it one step back. And the question is, what is the one problem that I can solve? That's it. Just the one problem that I can solve, rather than looking at the starting point of, oh, this is all my experience, this is all my knowledge, this is all my this is all my that. That becomes an extremely long Excel spreadsheet or billions of sticky notes on the wall. But instead, it will be much easier and much more succinct if you actually look at the one complex problem that you can solve and work backward from there. That would be my advice.
And that's very smart. I think we can overthink systems or overthink living, even just basic things, just day-to-day routine. We can overthink a lot of things, and before you know it, the day has passed, and what have you accomplished, in that 24 hours. When you are helping your clients to unpack all the fluff, if you will, and getting right to the main bullet points of what they can actually take action on, how is it as far as a reaction when your clients get the light bulb? Aha, okay, man, okay, it makes sense now.
It's interesting because it's a lot of clients come to me with an idea, but it never works out to be that idea, because when I'm working with people, for example, I'm not looking at the obvious. I'm actually looking at the things that they're not seeing in their peripheral. And the reason I do that is because we can say, I want to start, say, a coaching business. The next question is the idea that you believe that you can sell, is there a market for that? Is there a demand for that? And is that market willing to pay premium pricing? So we've got to ask these questions. Instead of saying, oh, I want to be a life coach, okay, well, there's billions of life coaches out there. There's a lot of life coaches that buy $99 certification courses, and now I'm a life coach. So that's very loose for me. It's not about being a life coach. I want to understand, well, give me your background, and then we can look at the life coach as the thing that you're passionate about, but it may not be a life coach at the end of it. The outcome may not be a life coach. You may not be called a life coach. And the reason we do that is because there could be one aspect of their life experience where they've got a lot of experience around it, and there is a demand in the marketplace, and we need to merge those two together. Because if we don't, that life coach will be charging, $39 courses and doing a lot of work for very little return on investment. When people work with me and I'm unpacking all of their attributes, it's interesting that at the end, they're like, oh my God, wow, because I'll say, this is really the direction that you need to go. And then what I do usually is that I usually spend 3 hours with people in our onboarding session unpacking all of these attributes. And it usually takes me a week to then give them back their actual structure, their foundation, the structure of their program, if you will, their signature solution, because I understand how they can position that, how they can market it, how they can wrap messaging around it, and most importantly, how they can charge premium pricing for it. And so there's an art to doing that as well. We have to understand that just calling yourself a life coach means nothing to the 8 billion people out there. We really need to zone in on the complex problem that you can solve and understand how to bring that to life. That's the key.
And speaking of the key, listen on Focus Radio, talking to Mary Henderson, and I like what you're talking about when it comes to that point when people are starting the whole process of sales. I mean, how many people really like talking about sales? Not too many, because we just won't worry about the service or the, whatever it is we're providing for the client. What are some of the things you help the clients understand too in the process of sales and dealing with clients, so that way they're not limiting their potential growth of the business?
That's a great question, and I think that a lot of people actually genuinely don't like sales. Even people in sales don't like sales. And I don't even call it sales. For me, it really is about building relationships with the right people. Because I think what happens, Shamaya, is a lot of people are selling, and what they're doing, they're really they're reactive rather than respond to the market. So that's one part. The other part is they don't have the right qualification process in place. And I cannot stress how important this is, because you could spend every day talking to prospects on strategy calls and closing 0 sales. It's 40 hours a week you're giving away of your precious time you will never get back to people who will never, ever, ever invest in your solution. So now we have to understand what our qualification process is, because when you qualify your audience, only the right ones will come through the funnel. And people are looking for thousands of leads. I don't look for thousands of leads. I just want the right leads, and I want the right people on strategy calls with me, because 99% of people that get on a call with me, the sale is closed. I'm actually not selling at that point, Shamaya. They've already watched so much of my content. By the time they get on a call with me, they're ready to buy. It's a very different experience. So I never sell on a strategy call. I'll give value if I can do a gap analysis. They have to have a business in place in order for me to do a gap analysis. I can show them where their gaps are. But I never, ever, ever push my products or use scarcity tactics ever, because A, I respect the person I'm speaking to, B, they're mature, and C, I only want people that are ambitious, self-led, heart-centered people working with me. If you don't fit that criteria, you and I are just not going to be able to work together, because I'm high energy, I'm extremely results driven, I'm driven by people's success. So if people are not ready to move at speed with me, we're not going to be a good fit. And so I know who those clients are. I know how to start a conversation with them. I'm already prepping them on a day-to-day basis through my social media activities. So I think that where a lot of people have issues is understanding how to qualify that audience, and also how to start a conversation with their prospects based on where they're at in the buying cycle on social media. And no one's doing this. Everyone's doing a one size fits all. We can't do a one size fits all. Today I might speak to somebody who's thinking about, transitioning into a coaching or a consulting business. Next week, I might speak to somebody in my content that's already in business, but they're stuck. There's pain points. Something's not right. So we have to understand where our buyers are in the buying cycle to actually create really dynamic social media campaigns from a content standpoint, so it actually starts to engage the conversation. You're pulling them into your ecosystem. And for me, that's where sales starts.
This is Refocus Radio, talking to our guest, Mary Henderson. Go to her website, maryhendersoncoaching.com. And one more quick question for you. When you look back and you see what you've been able to build with your brand, and now you're on platforms and you're sharing this wisdom with others and helping assist them to either, one, work with you, or two, get unstuck from where they are in life and, their area of their career or their goals. What are some of the golden rules that you try to keep for yourself that helps you along your journey to keep you striving to grow and to always reach the next level that you personally want to reach for yourself? I
think for me, the most important aspect of my business is my personal growth. I think that, if we don't have a desire to grow as a human being, then I don't believe that I can be as expansive as I am when I show up for my clients, or even just this interview, for example. So, for me, my personal growth is pushing through boundaries. It's being comfortable being uncomfortable. It's the ability to push through emotions that that are really painful, but I'm prepared to go there just to actually push them out of my body, out of my soul. It's time that I take with understanding that there is another way, there is a better way, there is a bigger way, there is a faster way. And I'm always on that quest to always find that best version of me. I'm always on the quest to never being satisfied with just that answer. I'm always digging deeper and deeper and deeper until I get that satisfaction, that deep knowing that, yeah, this is it. This feels good. I know this is the right answer. But for me, the desire, that quest that I'm on, and I never, ever, ever want to stop, that curiosity, that desire to learn, to grow, to push through boundaries, both my emotional boundaries, my soul boundaries, my physical boundaries, my intellectual boundaries. All of those, for me, are my priority on a day-to-day basis, priority. So that when I'm showing up with clients, Shemaya, it's not just about me walking through the frameworks. There's a real breadth and depth of wisdom deep inside that I can speak from, that has nothing to do with business. It has got to do with experiences that I've had on a much, much, much grander scale. You could call it your spirituality, you could call it your soul work, you could call it God's work, call it whatever label you like. But for me, it really is such an important aspect of who I am. And it's such an important aspect of where I can take my clients, just purely because I'm so open, receptive to that higher intelligence that has become such an important part of my life.
Been talking to the one and only Mary Henderson. You go to her website, maryhendersoncoaching.com. And yeah, it's great to have you on because you have done so much great work. I mean, I'm not even doing justice. I mean, over 20 years plus of building a 7 to 8 figure business and high performance sales teams, just building that brand, building the underlying purpose and growing from that roots. You have really done that for yourself and for clients. So for those who are listening, what's a good call to action you would want our listeners to follow?
If this is something that you really, really, really want to pursue, feel free to book a coaching call with me. I offer a free 45-minute coaching call. Just go to maryhendersoncoaching.com/apply, APPLY, maryhendersoncoaching.com/apply, or reach out to me on LinkedIn, Facebook or Instagram, Mary Henderson Coaching.
Once again, talking to the one and only Mary Henderson. Go to her website one more time. It's maryhendersoncoaching.com. I want to say thank you for taking time in your schedule talking to us today.
Thank you, Shemaiah. I appreciate you.